There are moments in life when we stand at the edge of the unknown, caught between longing and uncertainty, wondering if what we seek is truly meant for us. We mistake silence for absence, delays for denial, forgetting that even the most profound symphonies begin with rests, pauses that make the music possible. What if the struggles we resist are not roadblocks, but brushstrokes in a masterpiece we cannot yet see? What if every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every season of stillness is not a void, but a voice, whispering that something greater is being woven just beyond our understanding? Life does not unfold in straight lines. It moves in rhythms, in tides, in divine timing. And what God has for you is not lost, not withheld, not forgotten. It is simply waiting for you to arrive at the moment where you are ready to receive it. There's something unsettling about silence. We live in a world that equates movement with progress, noise with significance, and speed with success. So when life slows down, when the calls don't come, when the doors don't open, when the prayers seem to go unanswered, we start to wonder, have I been forgotten? But here's the thing. Silence is not absence. Stillness is not stagnation. Stillness is not stagnation. Some of the most powerful moments in life are the ones where nothing seems to be happening, at least not in ways we can see. Think about a symphony. Before the first note is played, before the crescendo sweeps through the air, there is a pause, a moment of quiet anticipation. It's not an accident, it's a necessity, because without it, the music has no depth, no contrast, no meaning. The silence makes the sound possible. Life works the same way. We are so quick to panic in the waiting, so eager to fill the gaps with distractions, doubts, and desperate attempts to force things into existence. But what if the waiting isn't a void, but a design? What if the silence is where the most profound transformation is taking place? Look at nature. A seed is buried in darkness before it ever breaks the surface. A caterpillar dissolves into a shapeless mass before it emerges as a butterfly. And the night must come before the sun can rise. If everything unfolded instantly, without pause, without process, without silence, we would miss the depth of what's actually happening. We forget that some of the most important shifts in our lives don't happen in the external world. They happen within us. And those shifts take time. They take stillness. They take trust. But trust is hard when you can't see what's coming. That's why we mistake silence for inaction, as if God's delay is a sign of disinterest. It's not. It's alignment. It's orchestration. It's the careful arrangement of details that you may not even be aware of yet. Maybe that job you wanted didn't work out because something even better is on its way. Maybe that relationship ended because you needed to become the person who could receive the love that was truly meant for you. Maybe the reason you haven't stepped into your purpose yet is because you're still becoming the person who can carry it. We don't like silence because it leaves room for doubt. But what if, instead of fearing it, we learned to sit with it? What if we understood that silence is not punishment, but preparation? What if we recognized that what feels like nothing happening is actually everything falling into place? The problem isn't the waiting, it's our need for certainty. But life doesn't come with a roadmap. It comes with rhythms, seasons, tides. And in every great story ever told, there is always a moment where the hero stands at the edge of the unknown, unsure of what's next. That moment is never the end of the story, it's the turning point. And so when you find yourself in a season of waiting, don't rush to fill it. Don't mistake it for failure, and above all, don't let the silence convince you that nothing is happening, because some of the greatest things in life are born in the quiet. We spend so much of our lives asking, when? When will the opportunity come? When will I find the right person? When will my life finally start to feel the way I always imagined it would? We mark time as if success, fulfillment, and purpose are destinations on a map, places we should have arrived at by now. And when we don't, we start to wonder if we missed the turn, if we took too long, if somehow we're behind schedule. But life doesn't work that way. What if the question isn't when something will happen, but who we need to become for it to unfold? What if the things we're waiting for are also waiting for us, not just to arrive, but to be ready? Think about it. A pilot doesn't take off before the plane is ready. A chef doesn't serve a dish before it's fully cooked. We would never expect a tree to bear fruit before it's strong enough to hold it. Yet somehow we expect ourselves to step into the biggest moments of our lives without the growth required to sustain them. The things meant for you are not just about timing. They are about transformation. So often we believe we're waiting for an opportunity when in reality, the opportunity is waiting for us. Waiting for us to develop the wisdom, the resilience, the self-awareness to handle it. And sometimes that means being in places that feel slow, seasons that feel still, moments where nothing seems to be happening on the outside, but everything is happening on the inside. Think about the moments in your life that shaped you most. Were they the easy ones? The ones that arrived exactly when you wanted them to? Or were they the challenges, the setbacks, the unexpected detours that forced you to grow in ways you never planned? We don't get to choose when things happen, but we do get to choose how we show up for them. The truth is, if certain things came too soon, they wouldn't feel like a blessing. They would feel like a burden. Imagine getting your dream job before you've built the confidence to lead. Imagine finding the perfect relationship before you've healed the parts of you that don't yet know how to receive love. Imagine stepping into a calling that requires a strength you haven't yet developed. The weight of a gift given too soon can feel heavier than we ever expected. But here's the good news. The delay isn't a denial, it's an invitation. An invitation to become the person who can fully receive, fully hold, and fully honor what's meant for them. And that's the real work. Not chasing, not forcing, not anxiously waiting for life to begin, but preparing, growing, trusting that what's ahead is already set, already unfolding, already on its way, not just to meet you where you are, but to meet you when you're ready. So if you're in a season where things don't seem to be moving as fast as you'd like, maybe that's because something greater is being built in you. Maybe the timing isn't off, maybe it's perfect. Because what's meant for you isn't just about what's coming, it's about who you're becoming. Rejection. It's one of the hardest things to experience because it makes us question everything, our worth, our direction, sometimes even our identity. A closed door feels personal, it feels final, and when something we desperately wanted slips through our fingers, our first instinct is to believe we've failed. But what if rejection isn't failure at all? What if it's actually guidance? We tend to see life as a series of opportunities we either seize or lose, as if success is simply a matter of knocking on the right door at the right time. But sometimes the most important doors are the ones that don't open, because they were never meant to. Imagine if every door opened for you, every job you applied for, every relationship you pursued, every path you thought you wanted. Imagine if you got it all. It sounds great at first, but then you realize not everything we want is actually right for us. Not every opportunity is meant to be ours. And sometimes the things we think we want are actually detours that would lead us away from what we're truly meant to do. We see rejection as a loss, but what if it's actually redirection? What if closed doors aren't there to keep us out, but to guide us forward? Think back to a time in your life when something didn't go the way you wanted. A relationship that ended, a job that slipped away, a dream that didn't materialize. At the time, it probably felt like the worst thing that could have happened. But what came after? Where did life take you instead? And looking back now, would you really trade what you have today just to go back and force that door open? Some of the best things in life don't happen because of the doors that open. They happen because of the ones that close. But we fight it. We resist. We spend so much energy trying to push through locked doors, convincing ourselves that if we just work harder, push harder, want it more, then maybe, just maybe, it will open. But what if the fact that it's locked is the answer? What if forcing it would lead you somewhere you were never meant to go? It's not easy to trust a closed door. It's not easy to let go of something when you don't yet know what's coming next. But that's where faith comes in. Faith in the idea that life is not random, that timing is not accidental, that just because you can't see what's ahead doesn't mean there's nothing there. There's an old saying, rejection is protection. It's a reminder that sometimes the very thing we're begging for could be the thing that would break us if we got it too soon or at all. And sometimes the opportunities we miss aren't actually missed at all. They're just not the right ones. So the next time a door closes, pause. Instead of seeing it as a loss, ask yourself, what if this is a sign? What if something better is coming? Because the right doors don't need to be forced open. The right doors open when you're meant to walk through them. Pain has a way of making us feel like something has gone wrong, like we'd made a mistake, taken a wrong turn, or somehow fallen off course. When life gets difficult, our first instinct is to resist, to push back against the discomfort, to try to escape it, to ask, why is this happening to me? But what if pain isn't a detour? What if it's part of the design? Think about how anything of real value is made. Gold is refined by fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles grow by being broken down and rebuilt. Everywhere we look, we see the same pattern. Struggle isn't the opposite of growth. It is growth. But when we're in it, it doesn't feel like that. It feels unfair. It feels endless. And most of all, it feels unnecessary. We think If this was really meant for me, why is it so hard? But maybe the very thing we're resisting is the thing that's shaping us into the person who can hold what's ahead. Imagine a world where nothing ever challenged you, where everything came easy, where you never had to struggle, never had to fight for anything, never had to endure any discomfort. At first it might sound ideal, but over time, something strange would happen. You wouldn't grow. You wouldn't develop resilience. You wouldn't have the depth of character that comes from pushing through adversity. And when real challenges eventually came, you wouldn't be strong enough to face them. Pain is not proof that we're on the wrong path. More often than not, it's proof that we're being prepared for something greater. Look at the moments in your life that changed you. Not the easy ones, but the ones that broke you open, that forced you to dig deeper, that revealed strength you didn't know you had. Would you trade them? Would you erase those struggles if it meant losing the person you became because of them? We don't get to choose our struggles, but we do get to choose how we respond to them. And when we shift our perspective, when we stop seeing pain as something to avoid and start seeing it as something to learn from, everything changes. Because struggle is not a punishment, it's preparation, it's refining, it's shaping us in ways we don't always understand until we look back and realize that without those moments, we wouldn't be who we are today. So when life gets hard, when you feel like giving up, when you wonder why things aren't easier, remember this: nothing powerful, nothing meaningful, nothing truly great is ever built without resistance. And the struggle you're facing today might just be the very thing preparing you for what's coming next. We like to think of our lives as individual stories, personal journeys, each with its own struggles, triumphs, and destinations. But the truth is, none of us exist in isolation. Every decision we make, every experience we have, every moment of growth or hardship isn't just about us. It's part of something bigger, something interconnected, something woven into a design far more intricate than we can see. Think about how a single thread in a tapestry doesn't make sense on its own. Up close, it might just look like a stray line, twisting and turning in a pattern that feels random. But take a step back, look at the entire picture, and suddenly, every twist, every turn, every seemingly disconnected part reveals itself as essential to the whole. Life works the same way. We don't always understand why things happen the way they do, why we meet certain people at certain times, why some relationships change us while others fade away, why certain opportunities never come, or why we end up in places we never planned to be. But what if every one of those moments, every connection, every detour, every experience was part of something greater? What if nothing was random? It's easy to believe that our struggles are ours alone, that the pain we endure is meant only for us. But what if what you're going through isn't just shaping you? What if it's also shaping the people you're meant to impact? What if your story, your resilience, your journey is meant to inspire someone else, even in ways you may never see? We've all had moments when someone said something, maybe just a sentence, a passing comment, and it stuck with us. A piece of wisdom, a small act of kindness, a story they shared that made us feel a little less alone. And the thing is, they probably didn't even realize the impact they had, because that's how interconnected we are. The same is true for you. You don't always get to see the impact you make. You don't always get to know how your presence, your words, your journey are shaping someone else's life. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't happening. Maybe the lesson you're learning right now is one you'll pass on to someone else years from now, at exactly the moment they need to hear it. Maybe the challenge you're facing today is preparing you to help someone through theirs. Maybe the detour you didn't understand wasn't a detour at all. It was a bridge, leading you to the exact place you needed to be, not just for you, but for someone else. We are not just isolated individuals, randomly drifting through life. We are threads in a larger design, connected in ways we can't always see, part of a story that is still unfolding. And when you realize that, when you start to see your life not just as a series of personal struggles and victories, but as something that's deeply connected to others, it changes everything. Because suddenly, you're not just waiting for what's meant for you, you're also preparing for the role you're meant to play in someone else's journey. And that is something far greater than anything you could have planned on your own. We spend so much of our lives searching for certainty. We want to know the plan, the outcome, the guarantee that everything will work out the way we hope. We tell ourselves that once we have all the answers, once we're sure of the path ahead, then we'll finally feel at peace. But life doesn't work that way. If There's one thing we can be certain of, it's that uncertainty is a constant. No matter how much we plan, no matter how carefully we map things out, there will always be moments when the path disappears beneath our feet, when the next step isn't clear, when we're forced to move forward without knowing exactly where we're going. And that can be terrifying. But what if uncertainty isn't something to fear? What if it's actually a sign that we're exactly where we're supposed to be? Think about it. Every meaningful journey in life requires some degree of the unknown. No great story begins with a character who has everything figured out. Growth happens in the space between what we know and what we have yet to discover. And that space, the unknown, the uncertain, the uncharted territory, is where transformation happens. We assume that clarity comes first, that once we know what we're supposed to do, then we can step forward with confidence. But more often than not, it works the other way around. We don't gain clarity by standing still, waiting for the perfect plan to appear. We gain clarity by moving, by trusting, by taking one uncertain step at a time. It's like walking through the fog. You may not be able to see the whole road ahead, but with every step you take, the next few feet become clear. And then the next, and then the next. And that's how life unfolds, not in giant leaps of certainty, but in small steps of trust. And trust is the key. Trust that just because you can't see the whole picture yet doesn't mean it isn't being painted. Trust that the right doors will open when it's time. Trust that the waiting, the setbacks, the detours, all serve a purpose, even when that purpose isn't immediately clear. Some of the best things in life, the things that change us, shape us, define us, are the things we never could have planned. The relationships that come into our lives unexpectedly, the opportunities that arrive out of nowhere, the moments that remind us that even in uncertainty, even in doubt, even in the unknown, we are never truly lost. So maybe the goal isn't to have it all figured out. Maybe the goal is to embrace the mystery, to lean into the uncertainty, to trust that even when we don't have all the answers, we are still moving in the right direction, because the most incredible journeys aren't the ones where we knew exactly where we were going. They're the ones where we took the step anyway.